The courtroom fell silent the moment the boy stood. 12-year-old Ethan Carter, his hands trembling, looked up at the judge and whispered, "Please, let my mom go." Laughter rippled through the crowd. The prosecutor smirked. Even the bailiff shook his head. To them, he was just a scared kid begging for a woman the world believed was guilty. Ethan's mother, Maria Carter, a black single mom in a faded gray prison jumpsuit, couldn't even look at him. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she whispered, "Sit down, baby. Please." But Ethan didn't move. He took a deep breath, his voice shaking, but strong enough to echo through the marble room. "You're all wrong about her." What happened after that turned the entire courtroom and the nation upside down. Within minutes, everyone who laughed would regret it. Just hours before the trial, Ethan had begged to see his mother one last time. The guards refused, but his persistence wore them down. When he finally entered the cold visitation room, Maria's eyes widened. She tried to smile, but her face was tired, the face of someone carrying too much pain for too long. "Sweetheart," she whispered, reaching for his hands through the glass. "Don't come tomorrow. I don't want you to see this." Ethan shook his head. "They think you stole that money, Mom. But I know you didn't. I can prove it." Maria's voice cracked. "Baby, the world doesn't care what poor people like us say. Especially," she paused, lowering her voice, "especially people who look like us." He clenched his fists. "Then I'll make them care." The next morning, as the trial began, the courtroom was packed. Reporters, cameras, and people who came only to watch her fall. Maria had once worked as an accountant at a major construction firm. Then, one day, millions vanished from company accounts. And somehow, every trail pointed to her. The company's owner, a white businessman named Thomas Avery, sat confidently in the front row. To him, the case was already over. Maria's lawyer was losing badly. Every witness twisted facts against her. And when the judge prepared to announce sentencing, Ethan couldn't take it anymore. He stood, voice breaking the courtroom tension. "Your Honor, please, wait." The judge sighed. "Son, sit down. This isn't the time." But Ethan walked forward, clutching a small, beaten-up tablet in his hands. "This is the time," he said firmly. The courtroom murmured. Reporters leaned in. Maria looked horrified. "Ethan, stop, please." He ignored her and turned the screen toward the judge. "I found something last night. You have to see this." The prosecutor rolled his eyes. "This is ridiculous." "Bailiff, remove the boy." "Wait," the judge interrupted, his tone shifting. "Let's hear him." Ethan placed the tablet on the stand and hit play. A grainy security video filled the courtroom monitors. It showed Thomas Avery, the same man, sitting in the front row, walking into the firm's finance office late at night. He looked around, typed something into Maria's computer, and inserted a flash drive. Seconds later, the system transferred millions into an offshore account. Gasps filled the courtroom. Ethan's voice trembled. "That's her computer. But that's not my mom." The prosecutor stammered. This could be fake." Ethan raised his head. "Then why does it have your timestamp, Mr. Avery? You were there." "The camera doesn't lie." Thomas Avery shot up, face red, sweat rolling down his temple. "This is absurd. He's a child." The judge leaned forward, eyes narrowing. "Mr. Avery, you told this court you hadn't stepped into that office for weeks." Avery froze. Maria's lawyer, regaining courage, stepped in. "Your Honor, the metadata confirms the video was recorded the night of the theft, using the firm's own internal cameras." The courtroom erupted. Reporters whispered frantically into phones. Avery's wife covered her mouth in disbelief. For the first time in 2 years, Maria looked up, hope trembling in her eyes. The judge slammed his gavel. "Order. This evidence changes everything. I'm adjourning until further investigation." Avery tried to storm out, but the bailiff blocked his path. Maria whispered through tears, "Ethan, how did you find that?" He smiled softly. "He taught me to never stop looking for the truth." A week later, the verdict came in. The true thief was exposed. The stolen funds were traced directly to Avery's account. Maria Carter was found innocent. Outside the courthouse, cameras flashed as she stepped into the sunlight, free for the first time in years. Reporters shouted questions, but Maria ignored them all. She was too busy holding her son. Ethan buried his face in her shoulder. "I told you I'd make them see." She laughed through tears. "You did, baby. You really did." As they walked down the courthouse steps, one of the jurors approached it, the white woman who had once laughed when Ethan stood to speak. Her eyes were full of regret. "I'm so sorry," she said quietly. "I shouldn't have doubted you." Maria smiled softly. "Sometimes, people don't need punishment. They need a lesson." The woman nodded, tears in her eyes. Weeks later, Maria and Ethan returned to their small apartment. It was empty, but it was home. She started a new accounting job, this time for a nonprofit that helped single mothers rebuild their lives. Every morning, Ethan would look at the framed newspaper article on their wall. Boy's courage saves his mother, exposes billion-dollar fraud. He'd smile, remembering that day in court. The laughter, the fear, and how it all turned into silence. And Maria would whisper, "Never let the world tell you your voice doesn't matter." Because that day, one boy's courage didn't just save his mother. It reminded everyone that truth has no age, and love has no limits.